evening and welcome to this edition of News Leader on 6. I'm Jim Fuller. In tonight's news, Telehoma City school officials explain the system's COVID protocols. Bonnaroo has also announced COVID protocols that are actually stricter than some local schools, and the annual coffee pot game is coming up this Friday night. We'll have these stories and more on tonight's News Leader on 6.
I am tremendously blessed to be living at Parkview and very happy to be part of a loving and caring community.
Best thing you can say is this really a great place to live? That's all there is to it, no doubt about that.
It's your home. You just do what you would if you were at your private home. You know, we love it. It's great.
It's just like having a whole neighborhood around you, and it's fun.
It's just a great place to live.
I was skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. There are a lot of opinions being shared. But I had the chance to talk with my doctor about my concerns. He told me the vaccines are backed by decades of research, and that the vaccines are proven safe and effective. Now I'm protected and ready to put this pandemic behind us. Join the millions of Tennesseans who have decided to give COVID-19 vaccines a shot. Visit covid19.tn.gov to find an appointment today.
Welcome back. As Telehoma City Schools continues to look at data regarding COVID-19, the district will be utilizing a daily updated dashboard that supplies parents, teachers, staff, and the community with updated statistics for the 8 Telehoma City School campuses. TCS Director of Schools, Dr. Katerine Stevens, said, quote, COVID-19 continues to be an obstacle for our students, faculty, and staff members alike. As a district, TCS is dedicated to our students and making sure that they are provided a safe learning environment. Our aim with this dashboard is to be as transparent as possible in our continued effort to fight this invisible opponent. When we are aware of positive cases and identify close contacts, we are removing those from the building to help stop the spread. It is important to note that our nurses will be in contact with the health department related to identified close contacts, end quote. The new dashboard will provide the public with an active number of COVID cases at each school. Additionally, the dashboard will also show the number of students and staff members at each campus who are actively quarantining. Those wanting to view the dashboard will be able to do so at tcsedu.net and then clicking on the button labeled TCS COVID-19 Data Dashboard. To reduce possible transmission, Telehoma Schools will continue to follow its health and safety protocols set in place before the start of the 2021-22 school year. Face masks are recommended for indoor settings, and TCS will follow the 3 feet of physical distance rule when feasible. Visitors to each campus will be limited to avoid possible spread. Enhanced cleaning and disinfection of high-traffic use areas, overall facilities, and buses will still be taking place. Students and staff members who are sick should stay home until they are symptom-free for 24 hours without any fever-reducing medicines. Those students and staff members who test positive for COVID or who are exposed to COVID in their homes should contact their medical provider and the local Department of Health for instructions on when to return to school. Parents and guardians are advised to contact their child's school nurse with any information regarding their student's illness. Dr. Stevens also added, quote, as we are all in this together, I ask that all TCS parents, guardians, students, teachers, and staff members do your part to help keep everyone safely in school. Following these protocols will help in our effort to reduce the spread of this virus. Together we can make this a very successful school year, end quote. Telehoma City Schools has prepared this video further explaining the current school year COVID-19 plan.
Hello everyone. Dr. Katrine Stevens here to share how Telehoma City Schools will respond to COVID-19 in this 21-22 school year.
Dr. Stevens, we recently released a data dashboard. Can you talk to the importance of releasing that?
The data dashboard that we just released includes active COVID case counts by school and quarantine numbers by school. It's important for our families to have a sense of what it looks like at each school each day. The other item I would lift up about that is it is updated every morning.
Some of the talks have been talking about persevering through this school year. Can you talk about the importance of that, and why not the decision to just close campuses in case there was a virus resurgence?
So last school year, our first school year with COVID being in a worldwide pandemic, the governor of Tennessee issued an executive order that allowed school districts to utilize virtual days or asynchronous days in the school year. This enabled directors, myself included, to move a school to virtual status if it was necessary based upon COVID. For example, those of you that were with us last school year will remember the high school was moved to virtual or asynchronous status the last week of December. That was actually the only school that we moved to that status throughout the entire school year, which was a positive, meaning we did quite well maintaining everybody being present and being able to continue with schools being open. So, this year, the governor has not issued that executive order. As a result, directors of schools are unable to move a school to virtual or asynchronous. Actually, the only option that any director of schools currently has is to utilize stockpile days. Now, as a reminder, a stockpile day is a day that we use for inclement weather, or maybe there was some significant event at a campus and we needed to close a school. We would use a stockpile day. And just for your information, we have 4 stockpile days for the entire school year. So after the governor's executive order was removed, the executive order that allowed for virtual learning last year, the State Board of Education made a ruling as well related to virtual learning. The only way a district can offer full-time virtual learning is through an approved virtual school. So we in Telehoma City Schools have our 8th school that was approved by the state, Telehoma Virtual Academy. That school, being an approved school, is able to offer virtual learning each and every day.
What happens if a school is forced to close?
So if we make a decision to close a school, we will have to utilize a stockpile day. Now remember, we have 4 for the school year. So if we close a school and use a stockpile day, that will lessen the amount of days that school has. Example, if we were to close the high school for 1 day using a stockpile day, they would then have 3 remaining for the school year. We will monitor each school and keep a list of all days utilized.
Just for clarity's sake again, schools do not have the option to go to virtual learning, correct?
Schools do not have the option to go to virtual learning or asynchronous learning. Right now, that takes an executive order by Governor Lee for that option to be available.
What happens if a child is moved to quarantine?
If a child is moved to quarantine because the child has been identified as a close contact, he or she can continue with their education through the virtual education program. Now, that may sound confusing because we don't have virtual school, but virtual education program simply means a student may access the technology that is available to him or her any day through Schoology or Google Classroom. In other words, the student can continue with his or her learning and work while being on quarantine. With that said, actual paper packets can be utilized as well. So technology is not required when on quarantine, but certainly a wonderful option to ensure our students who are on quarantine continue with their learning.
Last question. How can students and parents prevent the spread of COVID-19?
There are several ways that students and adults can help reduce the spread of COVID-19. Number 1, mask up. Number 2, wash hands. and wash hands frequently. If you can't wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. Remain socially distanced, that's separated from others. We certainly want to make sure we are consistently cleaning and disinfecting. Using outside spaces is important and helpful. And ventilating classrooms or locations. When we can open a window, let's do so and get some fresh air inside and get the air moving. Anytime you have questions about COVID-19 protocols or announcements or the dashboard, you can always visit our website, www.tcsedu.net. You will see a COVID-19 button that will take you to the dashboard, and you can always check out our announcements to find any updates provided. Additionally, if we make changes to the website, our communications specialist, Zach Birdsong, will be sure to communicate with all of you.
We'll be right back in a moment after these messages.
We teach Parkinson's patients how to move big and not let the Parkinson's slow them down. I've had patients I've treated in-house that could not even stand up, could not roll over in the bed, left the facility walking with a walker, have come back to us in outpatient and continued their big program and are now completely, handling life. The success of the program is just phenomenal.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Telehoma.
All right, the cat's out of the bag at Carroll Street Liquor in Telehoma. Now you know where to go if you're planning a get-together and want the ideal wine or spirit. Party planning can be stressful, but at Carroll Street Liquor you'll find everything you need. Mixers, gift sets, and all of your favorite spirit brands. So if you're feeling the pressure to pull off the ideal party, come to Carroll Street Liquor and select among the seemingly endless supply of wines, spirits, gift sets, and more. Your perfect party, it's in the bag with Carroll Street Liquors.
Welcome back. Coach John Ollie spoke with news leader John Gray about his coaching staff and the important roles they play in the Wildcats' success. They also touched on why Telehoma High School is a special place to play high school football.
We have some coaches that have been with us for a long time, and we have some younger coaches that are just doing an incredible job. Look at the defense we're putting up against a 6A, probably regional championship football team.
Well, I think this coaching staff works extremely hard, and that's the thing that we have always asked, is that you're willing to put the time in and you're willing to work, and you're not only working to try to make an improvement in schematics, but you're working with young people, you're working in their lives, and the defense is headed up by Coy Sis, our linebacker coach. Defensive tackles, Jermaine Johnson. Defensive ends, Corey Searcy. And then the secondary is divided up between Brady Goodman and Jared Olive. Brady also takes care of special teams, so you see the influence of Brady over these last 4 or 5 years, where we've really had unique kickoffs and our PAT. We don't just line up and do a PAT. We make the other team have to take time and practice every week to get ready for it, and he'll even switch it up in the middle of the season so it doesn't look the same as it did in the previous 2 or 3 videos. On the offensive side of the ball, you have Mo Torres, who's been with me a long time at offensive line. We have a former player, Tim Lemon, that works with him and helps him with the offensive line. And then we have Caleb Olive's got the quarterbacks, and Maurice Shaw, who's been with us a long time, has got the running backs and also takes care of the freshman team. And then wide receivers, we go back out to Jared and Brady, break that up again. And then Michael Holliday takes care of all the kicking as far as actual working with kickers, holders, etc. So it's been pretty unique. Coach McMurtry comes along with us on Friday night to give us an extra set of eyes. He had been a signal guy, but we've changed it around to where he's upstairs in the press box now. And then we've had another young man return to us, Jonathan Daniel, who is primarily helping Coach Shaw with the freshmen, but on game nights he's upstairs providing that another set of eyes, and so you see things from upstairs. Caleb has come down on the sideline, so that puts it where there's a little bit better communication and so forth with coaches and players, but you don't see as well from down there on the sideline.
Yeah, right.
You just you hope that you're seeing it correctly, but you depend upon the people upstairs to tell you, hey, that was the linebacker that got off the block or whatever.
Right.
They'll see that a little bit easier than we do. Or if there's a schematic thing of the end was coming underneath and the tackle was going
right.
up and around him, you see that a little bit easier upstairs than you do from down on the sideline. Oh, I didn't talk about Larry Campbell. He is strictly strength, speed, conditioning.
Yeah.
He and Whitney Morris, I gotta tell you that she gets in there with them and so forth and pushes them through, and so and there's others. You got Heath McCullough and Ricky Christie,
sure.
and Terry Pockris and Tom Fulton, Jimmy
Hollinsworth. Hey, and we need to say hello to them because they're probably watching.
People don't understand how many people it takes to make this thing function.
Randy Wilson,
and so anyway, there are a lot of, and I'm sure I've left somebody out as I'm going through all this, but it's a
family.
It is a family thing that we hope our young men, when they leave here, they feel like they're part of that family forever.
I told my son Jacob when he got ready to leave high school, and he was till he got hurt the second time. He was talking about playing ball somewhere, and I said, I want you guys, and I was talking to several of them, you guys to realize, most of y'all probably won't go to a UT or an Alabama or something. You're going to play football, you're going to be going to a smaller school. Their facilities won't be as good as what you're playing in right now. The field won't be as good. The fans won't be as many. Said, you've got right here one of the greatest support systems in football, at high school football in a town like Telehoma, where you're playing with your friends that you played your whole life with.
Yes.
It doesn't get any better than this. You might get more pay for doing it, but it just doesn't get any better than Friday night football.
Well, we've had several go off to play small college football and come back kind of disappointed, because the community is great, the support's awesome. When I was in college playing small college football, they most time would feed you a good meal before the game. After the game, they'd give you a brown bag as you got on the bus. And I just thought, that's not how you want to do things. I mean, you haven't eaten a real meal for 8 hours. It's 10 o'clock at night.
You're hungry.
And Mark Moran and our quarterback club have always been willing to get out and fundraise. And so we stop and eat at a restaurant if at all possible. Every now and then. It's not, and I'm not talking about the nearby trips. Nearby trips, we can get back to Telehoma and then go get their own food.
Right.
Restaurants are still open.
Sure.
But when you take off for 2 hours to go play someplace, we normally try to find a place, and that costs a lot of money to feed that many people.
Particularly hungry football players.
But anyway, I think we try to create an experience. We want that experience to be better than what it actually is 20 years from now when they're telling their stories to each other.
Right.
But that's the goal.
That's the goal, and we do a great job of doing it here in Telehoma. And this gentleman right here for 29 years has done a great job in leadership.
The Telehoma Coffee County Coffee Pot game is this weekend. We'll have Coach John Olive breaking down the game as he does every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on the fifth quarter show, and we'll bring you highlights from the game during next week's news. More news is coming up in a moment.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. Get to Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
The individuals with dementia, those with Parkinson's, those that have maybe mobility issues, need caregivers. Well, those caregivers are 24 hours a day at home, and they never get a rest. And if they have to go to work, they're kind of out of luck. So that's why Trinity came into existence 25 years ago, to allow the caregivers to have a safe center where they could put their loved ones, know they would be well cared for, stimulated, fed good, nutritious meals, have activities to their level, and then the caregiver can stop by and pick them up and go on home and have some continuity into their life.
Welcome back. With Bonnaroo coming up next week, organizers have announced their COVID-19 protocols to try to help secure their health of the attendees, staff, and the local population as 80,000 plus fans converge on Manchester. The following is an excerpt from the announcement sent to ticket holders. Quote, "The safety of our patrons and staff is our #1 priority. As such, a full COVID-19 vaccination or negative COVID-19 test will be required to attend Bonnaroo 2021. Bonnaroo strongly encourages vaccinations. The last day to receive the second shot of Moderna or Pfizer or a single dose of Johnson & Johnson in order to be considered fully vaccinated was Thursday, August 19th. For patrons who are not fully vaccinated, a negative COVID-19 test result must be obtained within 3 days of first entering Centeroo. Bonnaroo requests that unvaccinated individuals wear a mask at all times while on the farm. The Bonnaroo 2021 entry procedures are as follows. Comply with the Bonnaroo Fan Health Pledge, complete the Bonnaroo Health Verification, and receive a health check wristband. Bring your festival wristband and a mask. Bonnaroo Fan Health Pledge is, we ask that you not attend this festival if any of the following is true for you or anyone in your party. Within 14 days before attending the festival, you have tested positive or been exposed to someone who has tested positive for COVID-19. Within 48 hours prior to attending the festival, you have experienced symptoms of COVID-19. Within 14 days prior to attending the festival, you have traveled to any international territory identified by federal or applicable state or local governments as being subject to travel or quarantine advisories due to COVID-19. The Bonnaroo Health Verification is present a valid ID and proof of vaccination or negative COVID-19 test within the past 72 hours to any campground medical tent and receive a health check wristband. If you forgot to test, lost your Vax card, or are outside the 72-hour window, COVID-19 rapid antigen testing will be available at Bonnaroo at any Plaza medical tent for $40. Health check wristbands will be issued upon negative test. Should someone test positive on site, they will be given a second test free of charge for confirmation. Medical staff will notify the individual of their test status, remove their festival wristband, and provide them a pre-printed card with instructions on how to request a refund for their ticket. Patrons who test positive are not allowed to remain on site and will be asked to collect their belongings and exit the site immediately. Based on the latest advice from the CDC, Bonnaroo will require masks in any indoor spaces regardless of vaccination status. Bonnaroo will have increased hand sanitizing stations on site, and cleaning crews will do frequent cleanings in high-touch areas. We look forward to safely welcoming you to the farm soon. Newsleaders Andrew Todd and Philip Scoggins will once again be attending the festival and bringing us coverage of the show. We'll be right back in a moment after these messages.
My husband was diagnosed with a spinal infection. He lost his ability to swallow and the movement of his legs.
I couldn't turn over in bed, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat.
They were just wonderful in the treatment and care they gave my husband.
I regained my mobility where I was able to go home.
It is miraculous.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Telehoma.
Welcome back. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee issued Executive Order number 84 on August the 16th, affirming individualized decisions regarding mask wearing in public places of learning during the COVID pandemic. As a result of Governor Lee's Executive Order 84, the Tennessee Board of Regents added the following recommendations. Quote, colleges should encourage faculty, students, and staff to wear masks in indoor settings where social distancing is not possible. Institutions should not have a mask mandate or requirement. If a student, faculty, or staff member declines to wear a mask, the institution should not take disciplinary actions. Individual faculty members are not permitted to require that masks be worn during instructional activities or to treat the failure to wear a mask as a basis for removing a student from class. The system office recognizes that many people on both sides of this issue have deeply held feelings and beliefs, and we recognize the polarizing nature of decisions regarding masks. Institutions should encourage everyone to avoid confrontation and try to lower the temperature as we all try to navigate the current phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, end quote. Motlow State Community College encourages faculty, students, and staff to wear masks in indoor settings where local social distancing is not possible. But because of Governor Lee's executive order, it's not allowed to require them. Stay with us. Your weather forecast is coming up next.
It is wonderful living here. I don't have responsibilities of a house. I don't have all the work that goes with a house. And you can just relax here and be happy.
There's no set thing that you have to do. However, the offerings that they give you, it's wonderful.
I think the biggest thing about Parkview that is most significant to me is that we are family.
We're losing it, Doctor.
Not on my shift. Quickly, brush. Roller.
What a transformation. It's gonna be okay.
Okay, nothing.
At Paintworks of Telehoma, we specialize in domestic emergencies with Martin Senior paints. You can be the paint doctor too when you treat your home with Martin Senior interior and exterior finishes.
Doctor, we've got another one.
Got you covered.
Paintworks of Telehoma. Come see the paint doctor, Stat.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on this day. Our record high was in 1943 at 102 degrees. The record low was in 1927 at 47 degrees. The average high on this day is 86 and the average low is 65. Cloudy weather in the forecast for tonight with a low of 70. Mostly sunny weather expected on Friday with a high of 89 and a low of 70. 30% chance of storms in the forecast for this Saturday with a high of 87 and a low of 70. And that's our News Leader report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6, 8, and 10 for News Leader on 6. You have a good evening.